Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't visited me before, hi, I'm Maria. Welcome. Today we will be looking at downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So this pose can be quite challenging. We are obviously all very different, we're all unique, which results in this being a different challenge depending on your age, your health and your flexibility. So what you do need to remember is everybody looks different in this challenge. So practice, play around, explore, listen to your body and do what feels right for you. If you find that this pose continues to cause you problems, modify the pose, use props, use blankets, use blocks, use a chair, adapt it to suit you. So what I have heard from a lot of people is that their area of difficulty in this pose is tight hamstrings and tight quads. So today what we're going to do before we have a look at this pose is we're just going to have a little stretch into those muscles and just see if we can open up a little bit more movement, allowing us to go further into downward facing dog. So we will be using props today. I have 2 blocks ready at the top of my mat. We're going to use a strap. If you haven't got a strap, just grab a belt, that will be fine too. And I've got a chair just to show you how you can modify this pose also at the end. So let's get started. We're going to start in a staff pose. So our sitting bones to the floor, crown of the head to the sky, lengthening through the spine. We're going to use our strap. Just bring that strap around the bottom of your right foot. And we're just going to lift that foot up and lower. So we're just going to do this 5 times on each side. And we're just starting to wake up the muscles in our leg. So we haven't got to lift too high. This is just a little movement. And lower. Let's swap to the other side. So popping the strap around the bottom, lengthening through the spine. Just lift that leg up and lower. Up and lower. So we are literally just saying hello legs. Up and lower. Last time, up and lower. Okay, remove that strap. Coming onto our backs. So we're going to keep our left leg bent and we're going to bring the strap again around the bottom of our right foot, taking the sole of our right foot up towards the sky, and you are just going to gently rock your leg forwards and back. Just really, really gently rocking it. So you're not forcing it, but you are going to feel the muscles up your leg start to work. So you should feel it in your hamstrings and you should start to feel it also in your calves. Okay, then remove the strap and bring your hands behind either your quads or your calves. And what I'd like you to do is push your leg away from you, but use your hands to pull your leg towards you. So you're doing that at the same time. You're pushing away with your leg, you're pulling forwards with your hands. So ready? Push away and pull, all at the same time. Pushing and pulling, and then release. And just see if your leg will come towards you just a tiny fraction more. So don't worry if you've got a slight bend in your knee, that's absolutely fine. It's always better not to lock out the knees anyway. So push and pull, and then release. See if it will come a little bit closer, tiny bit. Push and pull, and release. Maybe it it will come just a tiny fraction more. Release that leg down. And we're going to swap and do that on the other side. So taking our strap, popping it round the sole of our left foot. And then again, just rocking that foot slightly forwards and backwards. Forwards and backwards. Saying hello to the back of our legs. Wakey, wakey. Feeling those hamstrings. Really starting to notice and work. Okay, bring those hands to the back of the bottom of your leg or up higher. And then again, pushing your leg away and pulling it towards you. So really pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling. Release and see if your leg will come a tiny bit more forwards. Ready? Repeat. Push and pull, push and pull, push and pull. Release. See if it will come a tiny, tiny fraction forwards. We're not moving a lot, we're moving a tiny little bit. Push and pull, push and pull. And again, see if it will come a tiny little bit further forwards. Okay, release that foot to the floor. See if you can bring your fingers to touch your heels. If you can't, if they don't quite touch, fine, that's not a problem. Just keep them as near as you can. Make sure your feet are hip width distance apart. So your knees should be hip width distance apart. And we're going to push on up into a bridge. So lifting those hips up, pushing up. And what a lot of people do is let their knees open. We want to keep our knees over our ankles, so over our heels. And what I really would like you to do is to use your thighs. So squeeze your inner thighs together. Imagine you've got a tennis ball in between your legs and you don't want it to drop. Really squeeze those thighs together. So when you're doing a downward facing dog, you also need to be using that squeezing action with your thighs. So really squeeze and lower your bottom back down. Let's do that one more time. Bottom up. Really squeeze those inner thighs together. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And lower your bottom back down. Okay, bring your knees in towards your chest. Just give them a little bit of a squeeze. Rock side to side. It's always nice to massage out the spine. And then roll on up. And we're coming onto our hands and knees. So into a tabletop pose, where we're going to do cat and cow. So we'll do 3 cat and cows. So inhale, lift your head, drop your tummy, tailbone up to the sky. So your tailbone is going to need to be up to the sky when you're doing your downward facing dog. And then tailbone to the floor, arch through your back, head drops. So really press your hands into the floor. Really pressing in, pushing the floor almost away. Inhale, lifting the head, tummy drops, tailbone up to the sky. Exhale, tailbone to the floor, arch through your back, head drops to the floor. One more time. Inhale, head's lifting, tummy's dropping, tailbone's going up to the sky. This time tuck your toes for me and just press up slightly so that you can see how your tailbone is going to go up towards the sky when you're going into your downward facing dog. Lower your knees back down, untuck your toes, exhale, tailbone to the floor, arch through the back, pressing into those hands. Head drops, and then back to neutral. Okay, so from here, we're going to take our right foot forwards into a low lunge. Usually we would have our hands on the floor. Today we're going to just bring the blocks where our hands would be, just to encourage us to lift our chest up higher. So making sure we really are lengthening, lifting that chest. Letting your hips sink down forwards, making sure your knee is over your ankle. going to take our hips back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So lengthening through, you can bring your hands to the floor, lengthening through the spine, flexing your right foot. Really, really feeling those muscles all down the back of the leg. And then coming back forwards, we're going to bring our hands back onto the blocks, tuck your back toes. We're going to go into a modified pyramid pose. So we're just going to press that back knee up, push back. Make sure that you keep a micro bend in your front leg. We don't want to straighten that completely out. And see if you can bring your left heel towards the floor. So it's not going to touch the floor. Don't force it to touch the floor. Lengthen through your spine and allow your body to come down slightly. So you're really going to feel this in your left calf. And then coming back down, we're going to step our foot back, move the blocks to the side, and we're just going to repeat that on the other side. So take your left foot forwards, and we're coming into that low lunge. We'll need to bring the blocks back. Lifting that chest up, letting those hips drop and go forwards. And then taking the hips back, flexing into your left foot, lengthening through the spine, really feeling those hamstrings. And then coming back forwards, again tucking the right toes. We're going to push up, coming back, pressing your right heel towards the floor. Feeling that in your right calves. Don't force anything, just go as far as what feels right for you. And coming back down. Okay, move your blocks to the side, step back. So we're going into a tabletop pose to start with. Move your hands just slightly forwards. Make sure that your fingers are spread nice and wide. We really, really want wide fingers here. Look at your inner elbow crease, so this side of your arm. And I want you to just turn your arm, rotate your arm so that the crease almost lines up with your thumb. So your elbow is going more to the back of the room. So you would be here, you want to rotate them and bring that inner crease forwards. Start to tuck your toes, preparing to go into downward facing dog. And we're going to lift our bottom up, taking our hips back and up, our tailbone starting to go up towards the sky, but we're not forcing anything yet. We're just going to bend into our left knee and see if we can push our right heel towards the floor. I'm not sure why I said we're not forcing anything yet, because we're not going to force anything, are we? Taking our right heel towards the floor. Don't force it to the floor. If you try to force your heels to the floor, you can actually just put pressure on your lower back, so it's not worth it. Swap legs, bending into that right knee, left heel towards the floor. And just swap from side to side for me, bouncing, bending and straightening alternate legs. So just seeing how far your heel will come. Now see if you can take your tailbone right up to the sky. Doesn't matter if your knees are still bent, that's absolutely fine. Like I said, don't force your heels to the floor, it's not worth it. So tailbone up towards the sky. If you can, press your heels down. Fantastic. What I'd like you to do is wrap your thighs. So wrap them inwards and really squeeze those inner thighs together. So we're really activating our quads, wrapping, squeezing. pressing those hands into the floor, tailbone up to the sky, creating an extension through the spine, your head coming down so that your ears and your arms line up, feeling the flow of energy from your hands travelling all the way up your arms, into your hips, down your legs, and through your feet back down to the ground. Okay, come back, bending your knees down to the floor. Let's do that one more time. So spreading the fingers, tucking the toes, starting to push the bottom back and the hips up, bending into your left knee, bending into your right knee, just swapping from side to side. Making sure with your arms that you have brought your inner elbow creases forwards, opening up between your shoulders, pressing that tailbone up, activating your quads, wrapping your inner thighs, squeezing them together. So really tailbone up, creating that extension through the spine. Remember, bend in the knees, absolutely fine. You can have your knees bent here, just make sure that tailbone is still going up. Okay? And then knees to the floor. Just bring those toes together, widen your knees apart and come forwards into a child's pose. Just taking a few breaths here. And then bring your hands to the floor, rolling yourself back up. So what I haven't mentioned is that I have got a blanket over there. What you could do, didn't think of getting the blanket, what you could do is to just have a blanket underneath your feet, just to bring your feet up a little bit. That's one modification that might help you. You could use blocks, so you could put blocks under your hands to make the ground not so far away. That may also help you with the pose, if you find it a challenging pose for you. If we come up, I've got a chair here. So you can also do this pose standing. So if we come back, as if you were going into a tabletop pose. So you're just going to bend from the hips and bring your hands forwards. So you're going to take your tailbone still up towards the sky. And you need to go back a little bit. And just lengthen through your spine here. So it's absolutely fine to go into this variation of the pose. You may be able to walk your hands down slightly, remembering that tailbone up, still remembering to wrap those inner thighs, to squeeze them together. You may be able to put your hands onto your chair. To come back up, you can just walk your hands back up, and then you can either bend your knees and come back up to standing, or you could, from this pose, gently bend your knees and just step forwards. So the most important thing is to do what feels right for you. And like I said at the beginning, this pose is going to look different in everybody. So don't feel that you cannot come into this pose, because you can, but you may just look slightly different than somebody else that is coming into this pose. I really hope that this has helped you and that you've been able to take something from today. Have a fantastic day. If you liked this video, please hit the like and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any future videos. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.